Parashat Re'eh, first Aliyah. See, this day I set before you blessing and curse. Blessing if you obey Blessing if you obey the commandments of your God Hashem that I enjoin upon you this day, and curse if you do not obey the commandments of your God Hashem, but turn away from the path that I enjoin upon you this day and follow other gods whom you have not experienced. When your God Hashem brings you into the land that you are about to enter and possess, you shall pronounce the blessing at Mount Gerizim and the curse at Mount Ebal. Both are on the other side of the Jordan, beyond the west road that is in the land of the Canaanites who dwell in the Arabah, near Gilgad, by the terebinth of Moreh. For you are about to cross the Jordan to enter and possess the land that your God Hashem is assigning to you. When you have occupied it and are settled in it, take care to observe all the laws and rules that I have set before you this day. These are the laws and rules that you must carefully observe in the land that Hashem, God of your ancestors, is given to you to possess as long as you live on earth. You must destroy all the sites at which the nations you are to dispossess worship their gods, whether on lofty mountains, on the hills, or under any luxuriant trees. Tear down their altars, smash their pillars, put their sacred posts to the fire, and cut down the images of their gods, or liberating their names from that site. Do not worship your God Hashem in like manner, but look only to the site that your God Hashem will choose amidst all your tribes as God's habitation, to establish the divine name there. There you are to go, and there you are to bring your burnt offering and other sacrifices, your tithes and contributions, your votive and freewill offering, and the firstling of your herds and flocks. Together with your households, you shall feast there before your God Hashem, happy in all the undertaking in which your God Hashem has blessed you. You shall not act as we now act here, each of us as we please, because you have not yet come to the allotted haven't that your God Hashem is given you. Because you have not come yet to the allotted haven that your God Hashem is given you. When you cross the Jordan and set in the land that your God Hashem is allotting to you, and God grant you safety from all your enemies around you, and you live in security.
Second Aliyah. Then you must bring everything that I command you to the site where your God Adonai will choose to establish the divine name. Your burnt offerings and other sacrifices, your tithes and contributions, and all the choice votive offerings that you vow to Adonai. And you shall rejoice before your God Adonai with your sons and daughters, and with your male and female slaves, along with the family of the Levite in your settlements, for he has no territorial allotment among you. Take care not to sacrifice your burnt offerings in any place you like, but only in the place that Adonai will choose in one of your tribal territories. There you shall sacrifice your burnt offerings, and there you shall observe all that I enjoin upon you. But whenever you desire, you may slaughter and eat meat in any of your settlements according to the blessing that your God Adonai has granted you. The impure and pure alike may partake of it, as of the gazelle and the deer. But you must not partake of the blood. You shall pour it out on the ground like water. You may not partake in your settlements of the tithes of your new grain or wine or oil, or of the firstlings of your herds and flocks, or of any of the votive offerings that you vow, or of your free will offerings, or of your contributions. These you must consume before your God Adonai in the place that your God Adonai will choose. You and your sons and your daughters, your male and female slaves, and the family of the Levite in your settlements. Happy before your God Adonai. in all your undertakings. Be sure not to neglect the family of the Levite as long as you live in your land. When Adonai enlarges your territory as promised, and you say, I shall eat some meat, for you have the urge to eat meat, you may eat meat whenever you wish. If the place where Adonai has chosen to establish the divine name is too far from you, you may slaughter any of the cattle or sheep that God gives you, as I have instructed you, and you may eat to your heart's content in your settlements. Eat it, however, as the gazelle and deer are eaten. The impure may eat it together with the pure, but make sure that you do not partake of the blood, for the blood is the life, and you must not consume the life with the flesh. You must not partake of it. You must pour it out on the ground like water. You must not partake of it in order that it may go well with you and with your descendants to come, for you will be doing what is right in the sight of God. But such sacred and votive donations as you may have shall be taken by you to the site that God will choose. You shall offer your burnt offerings, both the flesh and the blood, on the altar of your God, Adonai. And of your other sacrifices, the blood shall be poured out on the altar of your God, Adonai, and you shall eat the flesh. Be careful to heed all these commandments that I enjoin upon you. Thus it will go well with you and with your descendants after you forever, for you will be doing what is good and right in the sight of your God, Adonai.
Third Aliyah, when your God Hashem has cut down before you the nations that you are about to enter and dispossess, and you have dispossessed them and settled in their land, beware of being lured into their ways after they have been wiped out before you. Do not inquire about their gods, saying, how did these nations worship their gods? I too will follow those practices. You shall not act thus towards your God Hashem, for they perform for their gods every abhorrent act that Hashem detests. They even offer up their sons and daughters in fire to their gods. Be careful to observe only that which I enjoin upon you, neither add to it nor take away from it. If there appears among you a prophet or a dream diviner who gives you a sign or a portent, saying, let us follow and worship another God whom you have not experienced, even if the sign or portent named to you comes true, do not heed the words of that prophet or that dream diviner, for your God Hashem is testing you to see whether you really love your God Hashem with all your heart and soul. It is your God Hashem alone whom you should follow, whom you should revere, whose commandments you should observe, whose orders you should heed, whom you should worship, and to whom you should hold fast. As for that prophet or dream diviner, such a one shall be put to death for having urged disloyalty to your God Hashem, who freed you from the land of Egypt and who redeemed you from the house of bondage, to make you stray from the path that your God Hashem commanded you to follow. Thus you will sweep out evil from your midst. If your brother, your own mother's son, or your son or daughter, or the wife of your bosom, or your closest friend entices you in secret, saying, come, let us worship other gods, whom neither you nor your ancestors have experienced, from among the gods of the peoples around you, either near to you or distant, anywhere from one end of the earth to the other. Do not assent or give heed to any of them, show no pity or compassion, and do not cover up the matter, but take that person's life. Let your hand be the first to put that person to death, followed by the hand of the rest of the people. Stone that person to death for having sought to make you stray from your God Hashem, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thus all Israel will hear and be afraid, and all such evil things will not be done again in your midst. If you hear it said of one of the towns that your God Hashem is giving you to dwell in, that some scoundrels from among you have gone and subverted the inhabitants of their town, saying, come, let us worship other gods whom you have not experienced, you shall investigate and inquire and interrogate thoroughly. If it is true, the fact is established, that abhorrent thing was perpetrated in your midst, put the inhabitants of that town to the sword, and put its cattle to the sword, doom it and all that is in it to destruction. Gather all its spoil into the open square, and burn the town and all its spoil as a holocaust to your God Hashem. And it shall remain an everlasting ruin, never to be rebuilt. Let nothing that has been doomed stick to your hand, in order that Hashem may turn from a blazing anger and show you compassion, and in compassion increase you, as promised on oath to your fathers. For you will be heeding your God Hashem, obeying all the divine commandments that I enjoin upon you this day, doing what is right in the sight of your God Hashem.
Fourth Aliyah. You are children of your God Hashem. You shall not gash yourself or shave the front of your head because of the dead. For you are a people consecrated to your God Hashem. Your God Hashem chose you from among all other peoples on earth to be a treasured people. You shall not eat anything abhorrent. These are the animals that you may eat: the ox, the sheep, and the goat, the deer, the gazelle, the roebuck, the wild goat, the ibex, the antelope, the mountain sheep, and any other animals that has two hoofs, which are cleft in two and brings up the cud. Such you may eat. But the following, which do bring up the cud, or have two hoofs, which are cleft through, you may not eat: the camel, the hare, and the daman. For although they bring up the cud, they have no true hoofs. They are impure for you. Also the swine, for although it has true hoofs, it does not bring up the cud, is impure for you. You shall not eat of their flesh or touch their carcasses. These you may eat of all that live in water. You may eat anything that has fins and scale, but you may not eat anything that has no fins and scale. It is impure for you. You may eat any pure bird. The following you may not eat: the eagle, the vulture, and the black vulture, the kite, the falcon, and the buzzard of any kind, of any variety, every variety of raven, the ostrich, the night hawk, the seagull, and the hawk of any variety, the little owl, the great owl, and the white owl, the pelican, the bustard, and the cormorant, the stork, and any variety of heron, the hoopoe, and the bat. All winged swarming things are impure for you. They may not be eaten. You may eat only pure winged creatures. You shall not eat anything that has died a natural death. Give it to the stranger in your community to eat, or you may sell it to a foreigner. For you are a people consecrated to your God Hashem. You shall not boil a kid in its mother's milk.
Fifth Aliyah. You shall set aside every year a tenth part of all the yield of your sowing that is brought from the field. You shall consume the tithes of your new grain and wine and oil, and the firstlings of your herds and flocks, in the presence of your God Adonai, in the place where God will choose to establish the divine name, so that you may learn to revere your God forever. Should the distance be too great for you, should you be unable to transport them, because the place where your God has chosen to establish the divine name is far from you, and because your God has blessed you, you may convert them into money, wrap up the money and take it with you to the place that your God has chosen, and spend the money on anything you want: cattle, sheep, wine, or other intoxicant, or anything you may desire. And you shall feast there in the presence of your God and rejoice with your household. But do not neglect the family of the Levite in your community, for he has no hereditary portion as you have. Every third year, you shall bring out the full tithe of your yield of that year, but leave it within your settlements. Then the family of the Levite, who has no hereditary portion as you have, and the stranger, the fatherless, and the widow in your settlements shall come and eat their fill, so that your God may bless you in all the enterprises you undertake.
Sixth Aliyah. Every 7th year you shall practice remission of debts. This shall be the nature of the remission. All creditors shall remit the due that they claim from their fellow. They shall not dun their fellow or kin, for the remission proclaimed is of Hashem. You may dun the foreigner, but you must remit whatever is due you from your kin. There shall be no needy among you, since your God Hashem will bless you in the land that your God Hashem is giving you as a hereditary portion. If only you heed your God Hashem and take care to keep all this instruction that I enjoin upon you this day, for your God Hashem will bless you as promised. You will extend loans to many nations, but require none yourself. You will dominate many nations, but they will not dominate you. If, however, there is a needy person among you, one of your kin in any of your settlements in the land that your God Hashem is giving you, do not harden your heart and shut your hand against your needy kin. Rather, you must open your hand and lend whatever is sufficient to meet the need. Beware lest you harbor the base thought that the 7th year, the year of remission, is approaching, so that you are mean and give nothing to your needy kin, who will cry out to Hashem against you, and you will incur guilt. Give readily and have no regrets when you do so, for in return your God Hashem will bless you in all your efforts and in all your undertakings. For there will never cease to be needy ones in your land, which is why I command you, open your hand to the poor and needy kin in your land. If a fellow Hebrew man or woman is sold to you, he shall serve you 6 years, and in the 7th year you shall set him free. When you set him free, do not let him go empty-handed. Furnish him out of the flock, threshing floor, and vat with which your God Hashem has blessed you. Bear in mind that you were slaves in the land of Egypt, and your God Hashem redeemed you. Therefore, I enjoin this commandment upon you today. But should he say to you, I do not want to leave you, for he loves you and your household and is happy with you, you shall take an awl and put it through his ear into the door, and he shall become your slave in perpetuity. Do the same with your female slave. When you do set either one free, do not feel aggrieved, for in the 6 years you have been given double the service of a hired worker. Moreover, your God Hashem will bless you in all you do.
7th Aliyah. You shall consecrate to your God Hashem all male firstling that are born in your herd and in your flock. You must not work your firstling ox or shear your firstling sheep. You and your household shall eat it annually before your God Hashem in the place that Hashem will choose. But if it has a defect, lameness or blindness, any serious defect, you shall sacrifice it. You shall not sacrifice it to your God Hashem. Eat it in your settlements. The impure among you no less than the pure, just like the gazelle and the deer. Only you must not partake of its blood. You shall pour it out on the ground like water. Observe the month of Abib, and offer Passover sacrifice to your God Hashem, for it was in the month of Abib at night that your God Hashem freed you from Egypt. You shall slaughter the Passover sacrifice for your God Hashem, from the flock and from the herd, in the place where Hashem will choose to establish the divine name. You shall not eat anything leavened with it. For 7 days thereafter you shall eat unleavened bread, bread of distress, for you departed from the land of Egypt hurriedly, so that you may remember the day of your departure from the land of Egypt as long as you live. For 7 days no leaven shall be found with you in all your territory, and none of the flesh of what you slaughter on the even of the first day shall be left until morning. You are not permitted to slaughter the Passover sacrifice in any of the settlements that your God Hashem is giving you, but at the place where your God Hashem will choose to establish the divine name. There alone shall you slaughter the Passover sacrifice. In the evening, at sundown, at time of day when you departed from Egypt, you shall cook and eat it at the place that your God Hashem will choose. And in the morning you may start back on your journey home. After eating unleavened bread 6 days, you shall hold a solemn gathering for your God Hashem on the 7th day. You shall do no work. You shall count off 7 weeks. Start to count the 7 weeks when the sickle is first put to the standing grain. Then you shall observe the Feast of Weeks for your God Hashem, offering your free will contribution according as your God Hashem has blessed you. You shall rejoice before your God Hashem with your son and daughter, your male and female slave, the family of the Levite in your communities, and the strangers, the fatherless and the widow in your midst, at the place where your God Hashem will choose to establish the divine name. Bear in mind that you were slaves in Egypt, and take care to obey these laws. After the gathering from your threshing floor and your vat, you shall hold the Feast of Booths for 7 days. You shall rejoice in your festival with your sons and daughters, your male and female slaves, the family of the Levites, the strangers, the fatherless, and the widow in your communities. You shall hold a festival for your God Hashem 7 days in the place that Hashem will choose for your God Hashem will bless at all your crops and all your undertaking, and you shall have nothing but joy. 3 times a year, on the Feast of Unleavened Bread, on the Feast of Weeks, and on the Feast of Booth, all your males shall appear before your God Hashem in the place that God will choose. They shall not appear before Hashem empty-handed, but each with his own gift, according to the blessing that your God Hashem has bestowed upon you. Well, Adonai Sabaoth Shemo Kiddush Yisrael.